Hey guys, I'm Racing Chewy Side, and here's episode 6 of the iRacing Advanced Driving School, and I was going to do one about paints, but it's just, I don't know, too much work right now. So we're doing this one of steering ratio and steering offset, which pretty much is a setting you'll find on a lot of oval cars, not really anything with a road. Especially a road, when it comes to offset, you don't need it, but I'll just explain what those are, and they're both options in your garage menu. So you can see here we are at Kentucky. That's just because I have nowhere else. I didn't feel like loading up another track. But anyways, so you go to garage. Alright, you go to chassis, and you'll see these two settings here. Steering ratio and steering offset. I'll start with steering ratio. Now what this is pretty much how sensitive or how non-sensitive. Wait, no. What steering ratio is pretty much, it's a sensitivity, you know, it's either higher with one setting or lower with another. So what the numbers mean here is you see 8 to 1. What steering ratio means is how many degrees of rotation you need to turn the steering wheel to turn the actual wheel, you know, a degree. So with a steering ratio of 8 to 1, which is something a lot of people who want a fast response want. So this will be the quickest response. I don't know if a car is 8 to 1. Which means you have to turn 8 inches, not 8 inches, 8 degrees of steering rotation to equal 1 degree of tire rotation in the front, you know, steering. So in other words, this is the most sensitive. If I go to something like 14 to 1, which is not nearly as sensitive as 8, but gives you a finer range to work with so you can be smoother. Mainly recommended at tracks like Daytona where you got to be super smooth, but it's slower, gives you a slower response. For the fact is, you know, you got to turn more to equal the same rotation. So instead of 8 degrees, you got to turn 14 to equal 1 degree. So yeah, meaning it pretty much explains it here in the menu. Degrees of steering wheel rotation to give 1 degree of front wheel steered angle. Higher ratio, like a slower response, less twitchy, and harder to catch slides with. So yeah. So that's pretty much it for steering ratio. IndyCar has a similar deal, but it's just pretty much like teeth or something like that, steering teeth, and the lower number or higher number steering teeth, I guess. I don't know what it was called. Means it's the same thing as going up on here, so same type of deal. Anyways, we're gonna shut up about that and go to steering offset. Actually, we're gonna click done here. Let's see, I have that set to 14 to 1. I'm just going to show you the differences, I guess. So here I am in the car, right? Let me just turn a full entire rotation to the left. You can see where the steering wheel ends, right? That pretty much gives you more degrees to work with. So just look, remember how that was. I'm going to change it now to something like 8 to 1. And we're going to look how much that changes the amount of steering you need to do. And you can see I didn't even make one full rotation to the left. You can see I was able to turn much more with the 14 to 1, but you don't need any more steering ratio with the 8 to 1. So you don't need any more turning, so whatever. That's just pretty much showing what steering ratio does. So let me change it to what I always run, which is 14 to 1 now, actually. And we're going to talk about steering offset now. Now what this does is, let me set this to 0. Click apply. Press done. And I'll show you what I'll be talking about here. I guess I'll have to show you while driving, so yeah. Alright, so let me take off here. Get up to speed, and I have to show you on the backstretch what I'm talking about. I'm not even gonna get up to full speed. We're just gonna ride down the back straightaway here. Alright, so going straight, you can see right here the car's pulling right big time with a 0 degree offset, so I have to turn a little bit left just to go straight. Now this is what steering offset does. It'll automatically be like you have the wheel recentered. So say you wanted to go exactly straight. Then we get to the backstretch again. So if you want to go exactly straight, Let me actually slow this down. There's no point to speed up right now. So to go straight, if it's pulling to the right, like you see here, like you see there, you're going to want to add positive offset. And if it's the opposite of pulling to the left, you're going to want to, take away offset. And some people, let me just say here, some people like me want the steering straight. Now with force feedback, it might take a little bit less stress off of your, forces. If you have negative offset, meaning you'll be turning right, going straight, just to go straight. If you let off, it'll veer to the left on its own. And that's when you add negative offset. So the whole goal is to get the steering either centered or in a preferred, fashion that you want it. I don't know why people want nothing else than centered, but me, I like centered. So at that point, it was pulling badly to the right. So I'm going to add just leave it at +4, which will make it center. And it tells you right there, degrees of steering wheel offset achieved with a combination of installing the steering wheel into the quick release, off center, and adjusting front tie rods. So I pretty much just explained it. Like you usually see NASCAR drivers, when they first get in their cars, they take the wheel off again after they already had it on because they didn't like how it was centered. So you'll see them slow, taking the wheel off, then putting it on so it'll go straight, I guess. Or they have tape and they hold that at a weird angle, but that's really all there is to this episode. There's like nothing else I can, explain about it except positive makes the car come back to the left. What the hell? And negative makes the car pull back to the right. Trying to get it centered, I guess. And I already told you about that. Anyways, that's it. Next week, we'll start with the more advanced stuff, which will be shifting. Will be the first episode of that deal, which will be episode 7. And then after that, it's every other week, not weekly. So prepare for that. Anyways, Sim Racing Chewy side. Yeah,